Have you set a course for your life? Do you do that every day? Knowing what you want is intention. Knowing how to get there is a study in conscious action. This is a show about living consciously. It is about our choices, our hopes, our dreams, our work, our love, our vision, and the practice of healing and becoming. Welcome to Cruising in the Light and Shadow. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Sheila Marie, also known as Keaton.
And my name is Anana Moon.
And we have a in-studio guest. And not only is he an expert on movies, he is also our engineer, but he is the fabulous Paul Preston.
Ta-da.
Hello, hi, Oh, who's applauding? Who's that? Someone applauding? I know. I'm the in my studio guest. How does one spell Kicha?
Kitcha. It's Russian.
Oh, so it looks like Kitcha.
Yeah,
It sounds like Kicha
Yeah.
because
Yes.
Russian.
Because Russian. Yeah.
I always wondered.
My mother-in-law always said Kicha, and I was like, "Ooh, I like that."
You had a Russian mother-in-law?
I do, yeah.
Oh, wow. But you have like Cuban roots too.
No,
So you're all over the place.
Nicaraguan.
Nicaragua.
Nicaraguan, yes.
Nicaraguan,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Wow.
right.
Like a big melting pot over there.
I am, yeah.
All right. That's cool.
Thank you.
I'm just Joe Whitebread, so I'm fascinated when anybody else has got something going on.
Oh,
So-
the stories we can talk about later about my
Oh.
heritages.
Yeah.
But I met Paul. We both worked at Universal Studios Hollywood. But we actually, I don't think I ever worked with you when I was working there.
No, but
Yeah.
we met through mutual friends who also work there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and still do. You both do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you doing at Universal? What
Me?
was going on?
Or her?
Yeah. Yes.
You go
first.
Paul, please. Yeah.
As a tall, awkward white male, I'm not a great dancer, but I could dance enough like Dan Aykroyd, so I was a blues brother up there
Yeah.
for a while when the Blues Brothers were a
Very
show,
cool.
which they're not anymore, which is a shame because
Such a great show.
what
One of
a
my
cheap
favorite
show
shows.
to just added value. I thought would be
And
live
the
forever.
singers were amazing.
People talk about the Blues Brothers all the time to
yeah.
this day.
If by people you mean me, yes.
No, I don't
Ad
just
nauseam.
mean you. People I hang out with still talk about the
Oh, yeah.
Blues Brothers. Quote the Blues Brothers.
Well, if you're
That's-
Universal, you're pretty much the park that's, if it's not Disney, it's in our park.
Yeah.
So I would have I would have the Ghostbusters. I would have.
We did
you know,
briefly, I think, before your
They've
time.
been there, and yeah, but they're gone. You know.
Yeah.
No
I'd bring it back.
Ghostbusters? Oh
We
my
had the
goodness, I
X-Men, and then they went to Disney, right? The Marvel characters.
Yes, I think Universal owned the comic book rights and lost them,
Yeah.
goodness.
It
or
was-
let them go, or something. But then now all Marvel is Disney.
as we
So,
know.
yeah.
Which actually, this
Now.
is the show about movies, so this is perfect.
Yes.
And then you also do another character, or did at Universal, also movie related, obviously.
Yes, Donkey from Shrek.
Thank
So
you.
when you meet
'cause
Donkey,
That's my favorite.
which I could do, but I would really bust the decibel meter on the
Oh,
mixer over
darn.
there.
I love Donkey.
That was my.
Hey, well, it's a lot. He doesn't talk very loud. He's a positive, upbeat person. You can have Donkey on the show for a long time. He's Donkey days because he's talking about positivity. Oh, Donkey's all about positivity. Because a layer, see, an onion got layers. Right? There's a whole bunch of spirituality in Shrek you guys probably aren't even aware of.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably not. No,
Shrek
Donkey
and
would
Donkey,
need
we'll
to
be
tell
cruising the
us.
light and shadow all the time.
That's true. The onion reference. I
right.
remember
my
that.
Right?
It was an aha moment for me
People
in
have
that movie.
layers.
Yeah.
Ogres have layers.
I will have to go back and look at the spirituality of
Oh,
Shrek
yeah.
then.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's on the perimeter, but it's there.
It's
But
there.
it's
but it's there.
absolutely no. It's like, I'm sure Donkey could preach a good sermon.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay.
So then when I met you, you and your lovely wife, Karen, you had an improv show called The Movie Guys. That's the first time I ever saw you. And then you went to, and you still have the podcast, The Movie Guys.
Correct. TheMovieGuys.net. So it's all things movies and comedy. We did 200 episodes of a show called The Movie Showcast, which was a 90-minute comedy show about movies. I mean, just packed full of content and a new guest every week where we interviewed somebody either from filmmaking or we brought in another comedian to goof around with us. And so even though the movies are old, the shows are still fresh and exciting,
yeah.
and again, packed with original stuff. We wrote jokes every week, so late-night monologue-type jokes about all the movies. So go on to iTunes or our Podbean page or themovieguys.net and scroll around until you find either a person you'd find interested and watch that show, or movies that you liked and watch that show. But there's lots of different ways you could check out the show and lots of shows you would be interested in, because we covered so many movies over that time. There's got to be one show and you're like, oh, I want to hear their thoughts on
Exactly, right?
this, you know.
That's the great thing about
yeah.
movies. You can watch it whenever.
And we're still going. We just do random shows every now and then. We're doing mostly interviews nowadays. We've had Tammy Stronach in here, who played the childlike empress from Neverending Story.
That's totally spiritual.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Very much so.
And Mark Borchert from American Movie. We interviewed him. If you ever saw the documentary American Movie, he was the director of Coven, the Milwaukee director who made an indie film, and they documented it, and it's fascinating.
See?
And he's great. And so he came in.
I have to see it.
And we talked to him for 45 minutes. So,
Paul is my go-to guy about, well, what do you think about this?
yeah, well, I'll tell you. I mean, I like to come from the idea that I love movies.
Yes.
We'll take it from there. So if I don't, I'm disappointed. I don't get off on ripping on a film,
No, you
even
don't.
or even for comedic effect. But we goof
Yeah.
because we
something,
love.
yeah.
But the overall criticism of a film will be, from a place where we want it to be awesome.
Yeah. And enjoy you enjoy it.
So
But-
you try to find the awesome aspects then of a
As far as
movie,
going in, that's my mindset.
very
See?
wonderful. Yeah.
That's very joyful.
Yeah.
Yes, and thinking about this episode today, I was like, there's some bad movies out there that I really love. I wonder if I can even bring any of those up.
Why not? They mean something to you.
Yeah.
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 You know?
Exactly.
Well, now I'm
I may
curious.
agree that they're really bad, but you love them.
But you
So,
love the
Well, look-
critical consensus will tell you
There's an-
Three Amigos is a bad movie. Look at the reviews. They're all bad.
But
that movie is awesome.
it's fun.
Yeah.
It is really fun.
Who doesn't love- and who doesn't love that movie?
Yeah.
From regular people. The critics will crap on it.
And there's clearly an audience for
everything.
What is,
Clearly.
I'm not fully familiar. Have not seen it yet. Is it the
The
room?
Room. Yeah. I went to see it this
Unbelievable.
summer with my friends. Majama, who made the movie that I produced, Bad CGI Sharks, plug. They took me to see it.
Great
and-
title, by the way.
Thank you. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. So they go to the room all the time. We went to see it. They didn't tell me much about it. Audience participation.
They go to the room all the time.
Once a month.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been 9 times.
Yeah. Yeah. No joke. It's
I'm
like, it's-
behind. Okay.
Have
all
you
right.
seen-
we must go.
Did you see it?
I have not seen
Okay.
it yet. No.
I highly
So
recommend.
this is the original. It's not the movie of the movie.
Correct.
But,
Although
okay,
The
room
Disaster Artist
itself.
I've seen twice, and you should see
Oh,
that.
really?
Oh,
I
okay.
saw it.
Because
All
that's
right.
entertaining.
Yeah.
But The Room is for public screening purposes mostly.
Yeah, don't-
You
yeah.
can watch it online. I would not the first time, or
No.
perhaps ever. I still haven't. You go out and you see it, and people are screaming and yelling, throwing stuff at the screen, and it's great. It's
a
bedlam.
community.
It's chaos, and it's fun because it's awful.
A
And
little
It is
Rocky
awful.
Horror
Yeah.
Picture-ish, but
No,
not
no,
nearly as
see,
good
I
as Rocky
Can't
Horror
compare because
Picture.
it's not a
Yeah.
musical and
I compare it somewhat in that there's interaction, but
yeah.
I found Rocky Horror over the years. You have the certain things you do at certain times. There's still just total chaos at a screening of The Room
Oh
because
my
people
gosh.
say, "I don't start yelling stuff and start screaming things," and it's encouraged.
I have friends who yelling at it, and I'm like, what does that have? Well, I mean, yeah, I was a little upset when I first went because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. And then I read The Disaster Artist, and I was like, oh, okay. So I love the story because he made his dream come true. He really wanted his movie made. He made it happen. And then now look.
There's the
You
whole
know?
thing about persistence. Then
He's
he
made it to the
wanted
stage
to do it,
of the
yeah.
Golden Globes.
And
Yeah.
in there he was
Yeah.
on the Golden
I was
Globes,
crying.
right?
I was a little misty. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, see.
You know, I thought that the last time I saw Ed Wood, which there's a great movie theater in L.A. called the New Beverly Cinema, which you must attend at some point in your
I
life
like
if
the-
you have not.
They show retro films,
It's all
right?
retro all the time.
Years ago.
It's
I
an
went
old
to that.
theater that showed retro films, started to go under. So Quentin Tarantino bought the building and said, "I don't
Brilliant.
want this place to go away." They still were going under, so Tarantino said, "Fine, I'll buy the whole thing and I'll run it." So now he programs it every month too, and he
Really?
plays a lot of his own personal prints of old movies and
I
things.
didn't realize
And Tarantino
that.
movies play every
We gotta
weekend
go.
at midnight.
Awesome.
Oh.
So if you've wanted to see Inglourious Bastards, if you haven't in a while,
That's me. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
Yes, I haven't seen it.
movie's so great.
I've
But
seen half of it.
So recently, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Ed Wood double feature. How great is that? A Tim Burton double feature just on a Wednesday or whatever. So it went down, and Ed Wood, It's such a great movie,
It was good.
top
I
to
really
bottom.
liked
But
it.
also this time I was actually kind of inspired by him.
Really?
You know, he's made all these bad movies, but he's
Yes.
made like 8 more than I have.
Well, yeah.
So,
Okay. Aha.
so there you go. So it's a
There you
sort of a win, even in his failure.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love inspiration.
See,
But that's
I know,
that's what we're looking here for in the light and shadow.
The
Yeah,
light and shadow, yes,
inspiration.
there you are.
Mostly light. We don't hang out too much in the shadow. You don't want to hang out in the shadow
No, you
on this
don't
show,
want
do
to.
you?
No, you dip into it and then you go, "Oh, I didn't realize I was in the shadow. Let me get out." Is
Exactly.
basically the
Yes,
feeling
cruising
about
in the light,
shadow.
and dipping in the
Dipping
shadow.
in
That's
the
the new name of the show.
I wanted to
All
bring
right,
up.
let's change that.
And we can do graphics.
I wanted
It's too much. Let's keep it the same.
just like. I wanted to bring up. We usually have a god or goddess. Usually a goddess on. So this is
On
still,
our
if we recall from Ghostbusters, this is
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yes, that's today's god or goddess on the table for you to worship. Certainly one of the funniest movies ever made.
ever made. I adore that film,
Just such strong.
and I love him. I love the Stay Puft Marshmallow.
What a surprise! The first time you saw it, you're like, "What is this movie? Is out of its mind." And it was
I
so
know. I
big and
leaned
funny.
forward.
I mean, certainly one of the biggest laughs of all time.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Completely.
And the art for me, it's like Blazing Saddles, or Ghostbusters, or Airplane, the funniest movie of all time. And that will be an ongoing debate where I'd hate to pick one and just kind of say those are the 3 funniest movies ever made. Now I know classic people give me like A Night at the Opera and things like that. Night at the Opera is pretty funny.
Well, I do. Yeah,
But you have a lot of musical
boy.
solos. For sheer volume, those 3 movies just too funny.
I don't know why I'm blanking out my favorite comedy right now. Wow, crap.
We'll just make it one of those.
I'm like, okay, one of those.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Blazing
one of those.
Saddles.
Well, one of my favorite comedies is Moonstruck.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's kind of a one of my go-to films when I want to feel good. But if it's on, I'm probably stopping down to watch it. Just it's the comic timing, just the pauses and the looks and the absurdity of some of the characters and so
Snap out
forth.
of
Well,
it.
mostly
Snap
Nicolas
out
Cage.
of it. Yeah.
Ronnie Camerari.
Yeah.
That bread
Ronnie
speech is
Camerari.
one for all time.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yes, absolutely.
That was one of my favorite. That's my favorite year for movies. 1987.
It was a good
Believe it or not,
year.
it's 30
You
years
know
since
the
Moonstruck.
year?
I
Oh my
do.
gosh.
Well, listen
Yeah.
to the lineup from 1987. Broadcast News, certainly one of my
gosh,
favorite
yes.
films ever
Yeah.
made.
Yes.
Moonstruck, Raising Arizona,
Raising Arizona.
Lethal
Oh,
Weapon, The Untouchables,
Love
Wall
Lethal
Street,
Weapon. Oh
The
my
Big
God.
Easy, The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
Yes.
Yes.
It's an amazing year.
Wait, wasn't Say Anything also that year? Or was it the year after?
It might have been 88.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a big article on it recently,
Say
and I don't
Anything?
think I
No, but
mentioned
the-
it because I would have. The Say Anything is just
That
such
is
a fabulous
Lloyd
movie.
Dobler, the
Yeah.
man of my dreams.
Yeah, everybody's.
Yeah.
I'd date Lloyd Dobler. Right?
I didn't see Big Easy till the following year, and what was I thinking?
I
It
don't
was
think I've
brilliant.
seen
I
That
really
movie is
enjoyed it.
sexy.
So
I am so behind
well
on some, or
made,
I
yeah.
forgot. Lost
You're-
Boys.
You're 30 years behind,
Yeah.
apparently.
Lost Boys.
Was that 87?
was that 87?
believe it was
Okay,
87
all
or
Yeah, I
88.
really liked Lost Boys.
Lost Boys was awesome.
This is a question we ask everybody who comes on the old movie showcast. What is your favorite movie of all time?
See, that's tough. Like if it's like a Moonstruck moment, like Inanna was saying that, everything stops, like, okay, that's it, the day's gone.
That is often a requirement, or not a requirement, but the way some people come about choosing one. Because over time I had to choose one, but it's often, if it's on, I'm in for an hour. And
Yeah,
I guess
exactly. The
Just
day's
right
gone.
there.
got to go
Yeah,
till it
right.
ends.
It's Notting Hill.
Oh, that's
Really?
a wonderful
Yeah,
movie.
I don't know. It's
I love
Reverse
that movie.
Cinderella.
Well, you're making you make good friends with Karen, my wife, then, who was a big
love
Richard
Karen.
Curtis fan. All the stuff he made. I mean,
What
he
else did
wrote Notting Hill, and he wrote and directed Love Actually, and he adapted the Bridget
Absolutely.
Jones Diary script.
Okay.
I mean, he's
Well, now
and
I
not
can
to mention
see, I
Vicar
can
of Dibley,
see-
Blackadder. I mean, he's been Richard Curtis. Everyone should know his name.
Richard.
Yes, Richard
Comic
Curtis,
genius
yeah.
from Britain.
Oh,
And Notting Hill is the highlight of one of Hugh Grant's
I
best
think
parts.
so too.
Well,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
funny, and then it's the love story, and then you cry. I just love it.
I
Yeah.
never thought of it as Reverse Cinderella. Yes, it is.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That is an interesting take.
I took it. Yeah, and it's Hugh Grant. Oh, Hugh Grant.
Yeah, in his prime.
Yeah, in his prime. Yeah, Love Actually. I just discovered a couple of years ago.
Well,
You hadn't
welcome.
watched it when it first came out. Yeah, it's it's
Yeah, I just read an interview
that
with
it
Richard
became a
Curtis.
Christmas story. That it
Yeah.
became one of the films you want to watch.
Well,
at
that's what he
Christmas
said. It just
time.
happened to be set then, so he's thrilled that people watch it every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was his directorial debut.
Really?
Like he had written
Really?
all. He just was a writer, and eventually, Love Actually was. And that what a task to take on to meld like 12 stories together. Yeah, I love that movie. All right, so Nana, your favorite movie of all time?
I could probably name a slew of things. I'm a Turner Classic movie. Does this make me old? I don't know necessarily, but
Good
I
taste.
really, really love old movies. And
Well, you know what?
it's the Maltese Falcon.
Ah, there you go.
But then I would also slip in a couple of musicals. But another go-to for me is Victor Victoria.
Classic.
Very classic.
Blake
Very classic.
Edwards.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, a lot of Blake Edwards.
Well,
for
he
me,
managed
yeah.
to capture that 70s, 80s male in distress vibe. I'm writing a script, and I have this, the character flirting with an affair, and everyone's reading it and going, I just don't like the fact that he's flirting with this affair, and your character becomes completely unlikable. But I think back to those movies, they were always doing that.
They were, yeah.
10, Mickey and Maude.
10,
Mickey
yes,
had two
exactly.
wives. I mean, that
Yeah.
movie. I mean,
Yeah.
just
National Lampoon.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't have an affair in National Lampoon.
he wanted to. He
Vacation.
went down to the pool,
Oh, right.
for vacation.
Yeah.
I'm so judgy. I think that's why I never watched it. I haven't. I know I'm awful. I haven't
Vacation?
watched it. I've never
Classic.
Because I knew that was in the trailer, and I was like, oh.
Maltese Falcon did not win Best Picture. And it
Probably
came out
not.
because
A
it came
lot
out
of
the
the-
same year as
no.
Citizen Kane, which
Oh,
also did
goodness.
not win Best Picture.
No,
It was How Green Was My Valley, John Ford. Isn't that weird?
that is weird.
these-
That's one of those trivias.
I dare you to
You always
find someone on the street who
wonder-
knows that, but Maltese Falcon and
Paul
Citizen
Preston
Kane are
knows.
classics.
You always wonder what was going on when you go, oh, look at these great films. Wait, that one won?
There's
It's like,
been a
what
few
was
years like
happening then?
Yeah.
The
I
cause
mentioned
of
how
that,
the
yeah.
great 1987, The Last Emperor won Best Picture, and all the other movies I mentioned.
I remember that. I was really upset.
And I didn't
It's
care
impressive,
for-
but I mean, good Lord, the other movies are iconic.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a good year. That was a good year all around for me.
Good year.
Oh, that's extraordinary. But then, I mean, for me, also Casablanca.
Which
and
is
it has
timeless.
to do with
Yeah.
some of it has to do with the actor that's in it or the actress. I could sit all day watching the Nick and Nora Charles Thin Man movies. So I'm not bringing up anything that's
current.
too much
Spoiler
after
alert.
I know, but don't feel bad, 'cause you know what?
1972.
They made good movies back then.
They
They
did.
made brilliant
And
movies.
the
back
fact
then.
that they were movies means we still get to enjoy them. I'm sure they made
Yes.
great plays. Who would know?
Who would know?
But they made great movies, and we get to still enjoy them.
Yeah, definitely.
William Powell and Myrna Loy, right?
Yes, that's
The
it.
Thin
That's
Man.
it, exactly.
See, and that
Yeah.
reminds me, I used to love the musicals of the 50s.
Oh,
the
sure.
big dance
The
numbers
big
growing
ones,
up,
yeah.
Saturday mornings, watch that. Shirley Temple movies.
Oh,
Right, yeah. But I was thinking about...
I am a girl who liked the Three Stooges. Thank you. Now I don't know that I can watch them. I've tried, but
See,
when I
that's-
was a kid, I adored the Three Stooges, and guys always like to say girls don't like the Three Stooges. I'm
I've
like,
tried.
no,
You're the
I
one.
Yeah,
liked
she's the
it.
one. Yeah, I'm
They
sorry.
were
I'm
fun.
not.
They're goofy. They were silly as could be,
I
but
always
they
felt
were
bad
so
for
much
them.
fun. I felt bad for Curly
Yeah,
a lot
'cause
of the
he kept
time.
I'm like way too empathy going on. I'm like, poor guy, he keeps getting it in his eyes. It's comedy. I'm sorry. I'm
But
too
by now,
literal.
he seriously must have some sort of scratched cornea. No, Sheila, it's,
No, not yet.
they're
It's
doing
comedy.
it funny.
He's gonna be okay. See, it's gonna be. There he is. The next movie. He's all
I'm
right.
way too literal. But the thought of the musicals and the 50s, I really like The Shape of Water this year.
That took place in the 50s.
Yeah, did it? Yeah, did
Yeah.
50s.
There were no
60s?
musical numbers, though. From what in the
Yeah, I
Shape
was
of Water?
gonna ask,
Wait a
'cause-
minute. You wait a minute.
Aha.
You're right. There are musical numbers. It is not a musical. You threw me off for a second there.
Yeah,
I didn't get to see it yet.
That's
Yet
true.
I am going to see it. So
that's what,
there are musical numbers, though.
well, what?
Yeah.
One.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's
And pretty strange.
yeah.
Does the
But
creature
that's Del Toro.
tap dance or no? I'm sorry. Oh no,
He was
thinking about
maybe.
okay.
My daughter's like, it's about a mermaid. I don't want to watch it. I'm like, no, it's
I don't
really
think
good.
that.
It's very
Splash is
spiritual.
about a mermaid.
Oh,
Splash.
Splash. Yeah, she hasn't
Great
watched
movie.
that.
Yeah.
I should have her watch that. My daughter grew up on Grease, watching Grease, Hairspray, Princess Bride.
Good,
Oh,
but you're
absolutely.
raising the kid okay, I guess. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. I mean, on John Waters and Princess Bride.
Absolutely, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, most other kids, probably weren't watching
My parents,
Hairspray.
my parents took me to vacation when I was 13. So,
Really?
you know, I was surprised considering
I
they're
laughed
rather
like
wholesome,
Right?
you know, upstate New
Yeah.
York family.
Yeah.
They took me to that. I was like, my brother took me to Stripes and History of the World, but my parents took me to vacation. I was like, all right, this is great. And then, sure enough, it rated R all over me.
Did you get eyes covered by mom?
No,
No? Oh,
no, we
cool.
just laughed and enjoyed it, and I just never talked about how weird it was that at home when I bring home movies to rent, they're like, oh, they're swearing and swearing through the whole movie. They're just violent and blah, blah, blah. Took me to see that. Oh, well.
Gosh.
My favorite movie hero is Keanu Reeves. Because to me, almost everything he's done is pretty awesome.
At the movie, guys, we love Keanu Reeves. We love Tom Cruise. And
I have
two of
no
us
problem
love
with
Mel
that.
Gibson. I mean, I know he's a jerk, but
Lethal
man, his
Weapon.
movies are amazing.
Early Mel Gibson,
Braveheart.
yes. Yeah, Braveheart was beautiful.
And I adored the Lethal Weapon. I mean, he was my go-to guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite Hamlets.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he nailed that one.
I
Absolutely.
thought that was an extraordinary film.
like,
Well,
Look at
now
those
you know
eyes.
where he gets the
crazy.
intense pain.
that intense, yes, right.
The
and he
eyes.
was
Like-
intense in that.
Yeah, even Lethal Weapon when he puts a gun in his
Yes.
mouth at the beginning of the movie. What action movie starts with that scene where we see our hero about to off himself?
And you
It
believe
just
it.
sets the table so well.
So believable.
The crazy
what he
eyes.
did to, yes, he does. Yes, if you can do the crazy eyes, that clearly works for you in film.
But I turned the table from Reeves, who is awesome.
Yes.
Cool Breeze, that's what the
Future-
name means.
Yes, my future
Yeah.
husband.
It does. Your fu-
That's my thing. Yeah, future. So you know, I'm calling dibs.
And I like the second half of career renaissance, if you want to call it, with the whole John Wick thing. I think that's
Oh my
great.
John
gosh,
Wick,
John.
yes, yeah.
I
He's someone who actually does quite spiritual films. There may be quite a bit of violence, but they're actually
The Matrix?
Like Constantine.
Matrix.
The Matrix.
The Matrix
Beautiful.
is all about, metaphorically, all about unplugging
Mm-hmm.
from your a world you've been fed.
Right.
You know, and you can take that,
that you
metaphor
fully
however
bought
you care to.
into. Right. Right.
So once he's unplugged, then he cruises in the light.
That was that's a spiritual discussion actually about the soul too. That is there a soul that is not within your body but elsewhere, and you're living lives here
Oh wow.
rather than there. And so when I first saw that, it was on, what was it, Showtime, HBO, and I stopped and looked and I went, oh my goodness, this is kind of what I've been studying in spiritual classes.
And it's in a movie.
Yeah, and it's right here in front of me. Yeah.
And Morpheus says to Neo, we only unplug at a certain age when you have to be young. If they unplug when they're
Yes.
too old, it doesn't go well because they're too embedded in their current beliefs. What are we
Right,
talking about?
right.
The Matrix or real life?
Or
See,
real
that's
life.
the cool
Yeah,
thing
that
about that
makes
script.
If you
Yeah.
are, yes, yeah.
See?
And Keanu Reeves did Little Buddha, the story of
I still have to see that.
the Dalai Lama, one that passed, and now 3 children were being considered from different places in the world, and he played the Buddha. He played Siddhartha, the prince. Have you seen that?
I
you
have
seen it? She's sitting over. Sheila Marie is going. Like, very beautiful in that. So he plays the story of becoming the Buddha, and it's like Keanu Reeves. And I remember when it came out, some people were like, I can't stop seeing Keanu Reeves.
When you see the Buddha,
Like,
that's awesome. I'm praying to Keanu Reeves.
I don't think
But
those choices are an
that's good,
accident. I
yeah.
think he's that kind of guy.
Yeah,
I
right.
believe that he's a meditator, and I don't know if he's Buddhist in particular.
I wonder.
But he's
We must interview him.
definitely-
Somebody interview
All
him,
right,
please.
he'll have to come here, and we have
Movie guys
we have
or
to
us?
come and watch. Yeah.
Now, you were talking about like metaphysical films like that. So have you seen Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, so this would be a question to ask
I'm a
you.
huge fan of Benedict Cumberbatch. I have to admit that because you probably even would see it on my Twitter feed that there are little things about movies coming up and different things going on.
And I like the Marvel
But
characters.
and I love, yes, I do too. I love Marvel and the Marvel characters. Those are fun movies. But that film was amazing.
Well, that
to
broke
me.
it open from, just superheroes to super worlds, like other
Yes.
worlds.
Yes.
So what do you
Other
make of all that?
realms, Other realms.
Can you access other worlds like they do in Camartage?
And not just in Camartage, when we talk about spirit guides and realms where there are other beings and realms where there are experiences and actions that are going on simultaneously, those are very deeply spiritual. I wonder who wrote it. Well, it's Stan Lee originally, and I don't know who's the original.
Steve Ditko, I think, is the
Steve
creator
Ditko
of Doctor Strange.
All right. I need to go back and look at Steve Ditko himself because he clearly picked up some things that are discussed, sacred geometry. And so the symbols that are under Doctor Strange's hand when he goes to the books, talk about karma or the cause and effect of things, and that for them they can roll back time and make something else happen.
I think I have to watch it again.
It's fun.
It was so much fun.
You don't, spirituality can be very serious, but it can
Well, you talk about
just have a
on the-
fun side too.
on the Karma episode, you talk about insanity as the doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right.
And the Marvel Cinematic Universe often gets criticized for it just ends in a big CGI showdown, which I would say is definitely DC, not Marvel. Marvel does a lot more, and especially in Doctor Strange, he defeats the villain with insanity. Catches him in a time
he
loop till the guy goes nuts, and then
he says,
that's it.
"Let me out of this."
Yeah.
That's a Dormammu.
And we were just
Let
talking
me
about
out
that
of this. He
time.
can't
Yep.
get out. And
Dormammu, I've come to negotiate.
come to
or whatever.
bargain.
That's
Come
it.
to bargain.
Come to bargain.
Yes.
Okay, we definitely have to go see
What
this
is this? Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, this just happened, or something like that. It's too hilarious.
again. And the Infinity Wars is coming out soon, yeah?
Oh my god, I can't even wait.
I can't
They pulled it off.
They did.
I saw the Avengers. And I'm like, they brought those four characters together. Now they're going to bring together like 20,
Like
the
20,
culmination
yeah.
of
Yes,
8
they
years
are.
of, like 9 years of
9
movies.
years of films.
And my
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, that's my
Oh, Guardians is going to
I'm
be
so
there.
excited.
There's too much. It's too much. I may
Meeting
have a
up
hard
with
time.
Iron Man, meeting up with...
And just today, we're taping this obviously well before you listen to it, but the Black Panther reviews are stellar.
Thank you. I was
And the
gonna
Ant-Man
say,
and Wasp
yeah.
trailer just came out. Marvel is
Yeah,
killing
is
it.
killing
Yes,
it
they
left
really
and
are.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just had the premiere for Black Panther in England, in London. So, yeah,
wanna
it's
see that.
opening in just about 3 months here. So.
Cultural phenomenon, I think was the word they used. By then, we will have all
It
seen
is.
it and we'll be full.
Yes.
Yeah. Because this is coming out right before the Oscars, yes?
Yes, where I hope Coco
Black
wins.
Panther, yes.
Which I meant to see. I wanted to go see it yesterday.
Yes, that
and I
will be
ran out of
another one
time.
I need
Yeah.
to see.
You haven't seen
Please
Coco?
Talk about,
I know
yeah,
of us
talk
of all
about
people.
Well, I don't want to
Coco,
talk too
yeah.
much because you haven't
Or a
seen it.
little
Well,
bit.
the viewers may not have either. Actually, by the time this airs, it'll be out on Blu-ray and streaming and all that. So, highly. First of all, it's a Pixar original. That's
So-
all you'd need to go
Yeah,
and see
exactly.
That's,
it, right?
Yep.
The sequels are good
Yes,
too, but the
definitely.
Pixar originals are outstanding. And this is it's about the land of the dead and the
Ancestors,
the
right?
Mexican heritage of the
Oh.
people leaving you but going to a spiritual land where they come visit once a year. And
I may have to go see that
yes, it's
tonight.
right up the alley of the Light and Shadow Gang,
Yes. Oh.
which I'm now nicknaming you.
Oh, thank you.
I like
The
it.
Light
Okay,
Shadow
the Light
Gang.
and Shadow
Shadow
Gang. Our cats are going to have to be in leather jackets.
Driving little tricycles.
Oh, sorry. I actually did write down like my favorite feature-length cartoon is Aladdin,
Animated.
animated. I'm
Really?
sorry, no, shame on me.
That's okay.
Animated.
Animated.
The 92 Disney classic, right?
Yes.
Disney. Who made Ratatouille? That's the other one that
That's
I really
a Pixar original.
That is a
Yeah.
Pixar.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I adored that too. I like the.
And have you seen Inside Out?
Wait, I don't
Another
know this one.
Pixar original that won Best Animated Film
No,
Oscar.
It was
no.
really good. Yeah, I know. It was, I
Ooh.
heard it was really
Okay,
good.
there
I'm so
needs to
bad.
be a Light Shadow Gang film festival.
Oh,
Yes, let's.
there we go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
where we do well for you guys. Just
Yeah, for us.
And I was going to say, we should
wow,
have an
that's-
event like Light and Shadow and Movie Guys. Let's host it.
Inside Out is a story of the emotions that live in the head of a young girl named Riley. So they're personified. There's the character of joy. There's a character of sadness, anger.
Jealousy?
No, it's Mindy
Envy?
Kaling played the one who was I can't remember.
Sorry.
And then like panic or something like that. So and they all live in her head and they try and live with one another. But it's again right up your alley in that it's how to harness and have your emotions all try and live together and know the importance of even the bad ones in your growth. And it's hilarious and wildly creative because it's Pixar.
See, and I keep going, okay, I'm going to go see this.
What a
And then
beautiful film. My goodness.
Oh, and beautifully animated. That's just a given nowadays with Pixar.
Oh, yeah.
Why have I not heard of this film?
You did see Moana, though, right?
No, I have not. I'm behind.
Yeah, so am I,
As
though.
you
But
can
Moana
tell,
was-
I'm behind on
Moana
my
was talk about spirituality.
animation.
Yeah, it was all, and the goddess and Hawaii and Pele. Right? Oh, it was awesome. Moana was really good. It's along the lines of Mulan. But I mean, I think Disney has really, we were talking about that, right? That Disney has
Disney
some
does
spirituality.
has
A lot of
always
spirituality.
done the morality tales.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Whether whether they're ancient or not, they show up. You don't have to go back and read the ancient stories if you don't want to. It all shows up. Mickey Mouse in general.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse himself was always about bringing out the good, and he enjoys life no matter what befalls himself and the events of his life. He always finds the good in all, and then he brings the best out in others.
Aw,
If you think in terms of Goofy and Pluto and
Goofy.
Donald Duck.
I guess
It's
he's a
usually-
bit of an
yeah.
optimist, isn't he?
Yeah. And Donald Duck being kind of an anti-hero that everyone loves. He's definitely a why do these things happen to me?
Was
But
it
somehow things will turn out finally in the end. All's well that ends well.
was it before Moana where they had the new Mickey Mouse short? One of the recent Disney movies had a new Mickey Mouse short, and there was a character who I thought was due for some new thing, and it was this
Something new,
amazing
yeah.
short where he bounces in and out of the screen. He's in black and white and color, and he's up to all sorts of mischief, and it's really creative and interesting.
What do you know?
I can't remember what it was called. I wish I did, but
Uh-oh.
he was due. I'm like, he's due. Woody Woodpecker's due. Everyone knows Woody Woodpecker, but he hasn't done anything in
Oh, my
years.
goodness.
Give Woody a new
No.
movie or something.
Yeah, although didn't we just lose the
voice of
voice of Woody Woodpecker?
And we lost the voice of Rocky Squirrel.
Oh, that was it.
Jane
yeah.
Foray.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know
she
who
was
did
up
Woody.
I should know since I did Woody forever.
I
at
do know
Universal.
that
Oh, yeah?
Woody. Did you played?
I started out as
The
Woody
character?
and Winnie. They modeled Winnie after me. I was the
We're
first.
blowing
Winnie
a bunch
the
of kids'
Pooh?
minds
Yeah.
here, aren't
Oh,
we?
I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh! You did Winnie the Pooh. You're blowing my mind. Wait a
Winnie
minute.
Winnie Woodpecker.
Winnie
Woody's
Woodpecker.
girlfriend,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
See,
All
and
right.
you,
all right.
you'd know who she is if they kept making new
I'm
properties.
suddenly
Thank you.
With
5
this
over
character.
here. You're what? You are
Yeah.
the voice.
And then I did.
My eyes are growing wide. Wow!
Never worked for Disney, no. And then I did Bride of Frankenstein.
Expect a
and-
call now.
Yeah.
That's-
What? And Betty Rubble. That was my favorite. Betty Rubble was awesome. I had
You
so much
played.
fun.
You did Betty. Oh my
Walking
goodness.
around though,
Oh.
not in the show because I can't sing.
No.
But yeah, and I worked with some great people. I've worked with obviously some great people that worked at Universal. There's a lot of alumni that just they're out there doing amazing
Doing
things
a
right
lot
now.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though these are, bear with me, people. We can go this way and then we can come right back. But I wanted some of Paul's movie knowledge. Do you have silent films that you love?
Buster Keaton's
I was
The
gonna say-
General.
That's
Buster Keaton.
that is exactly right here in front of
The
me.
General?
That's my
Oh.
favorite.
No kidding.
Sherlock Jr. and the General.
The General makes
General
entertainment out of a Confederate soldier,
Yes.
like
Of a poor.
who we were trained to hate,
sad-
and,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
rightfully so. They believed horrible things, but that movie's so funny. I mean, it's just
That's
stupid
Buster
funny.
Keaton.
And he never, and the thing about Buster Keaton, almost never cracking a smile, just that sad, lonely, and the energy about him. He's an actor. In watching those silent films, I would feel like I don't want to watch these. I don't want to see the pain or the sadness that I feel from him, and yet it couldn't stay away. And his work was brilliant, and the risks. Talk about the risks he took as a
No CGI there.
filmmaker. Yeah, no,
really on the buildings.
facade of buildings falling forward across him. It's like, okay.
Yeah, Harold Lloyd was doing that. And
Yes.
Chaplin, of course.
Yes.
Charlie Chase. They were all just doing stunts for laughs. If I got the laugh, he was doing. I mean, just the train alone, like trying to stop it and jumping on and off of it. And I mean, he could have been hurt any number of times. That's
The
the
girl-
general's about a runaway train of sorts in the
Train,
whole
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And the one moment in that, I don't know that it will translate here, but he was trying to stuff wood into the furnace to make the train go faster and faster, and the girl that was with him, and she picks up a tiny wood chip and hands it to him, and he goes, "What?" And he puts his hands around her throat, like, "What are you doing?"
Not acceptable these days, but
Not so much.
No, but it just
Choking
was
the girl.
funny, yeah.
Not so
yeah.
much.
he could have choked a man, though.
Yes,
too.
there you
All
go.
right.
Right. I'm sure he did at one point.
But it was very
Could well.
cartoony, like
Very
so,
yes, very.
Yeah, he's basically
cartoony.
saying, "What are you
It's-
doing, you
it's-
lunatic?"
It's slapstick. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
slapstick. That's it. I love it. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, coming back to my Three Stooges.
I was
love
going to say
and-
that sounds
and the
very
Marx Brothers, absolutely.
The Marx
from-
Brothers were my guys,
so-
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I've seen everything a few times over, and then the talent of Harpo and Chico.
Oh my gosh,
and,
yeah. Which brings me to I Love Lucy, not a movie, but yeah,
Yes.
that's where I discovered Harpo, and then I was like, oh, what is that all about?
They did a movie, The Big Trailer. They did a couple
They
of
did
movies.
do The Big
come to think
Trailer,
of it.
yeah.
but The Big Trailer.
At the
yeah.
circus, was she in that? No,
There's
that's not right. There's another one
not
she was in besides it.
yeah,
Uh,
that she and
wait.
Ricky. She and
there was
Ricky
the
were-
Marx Brothers and Lucille Ball in a movie together. What was that one?
There was? Was that before she had her show?
Before she was
Yeah, I
really
can't remember.
famous, yeah.
When she was was it Follies? No.
But that's for your listeners to go and find
Yes.
out.
Yes,
Or
please.
viewers, or whatever.
See, look at all that homework you have. now.
Tell
That's
us
awesome.
about it. Yes.
You have the most, though. Haven't seen Inside Out. Sheesh.
I know.
So,
we
yeah,
need to
I'm
have
so
like
sorry.
we need to have a retreat and
It's
just
all-
show all these.
It's only, think about the things you have to look forward to now in life.
Yes,
That's
there
the
we
thing
go.
about.
Yeah,
we have
very
something
true.
called Movie Jail at the movie, guys. It's that movie that everybody's seen that you should have seen by now,
Oh.
and
Oh,
you
I
just
would-
haven't.
I would
We're in
be in
movie
that
jail.
jail. I have something about if everybody has seen it before me, then I probably will not go and see it.
Me too,
I
the
have
hype.
not
Won't
seen,
go?
I just don't. I no longer. It's as if I've been fed. Not that I've been told what the whole thing was about. I just get so much
Hype?
You should see this that by the time it's time to choose a movie, I'm like, nah, I don't want to see Forrest Gump.
You
haven't
seen
seen
Forrest
Forrest
Gump?
Gump?
There we go. Yeah.
Sorry. Even
I
well,
know I'm barely allowed to live in my home with my husband because
we've got to do a getaway and just watch movies.
Yeah.
I think that's what we got to do. Forrest Gump was good. That was. I asked my family this weekend, like, what are your most inspirational movies? And I got Forrest Gump, Legends of the Fall.
Legends of the
loved-
Fall.
I
Yeah.
They were
love
just inspired by Brad's chiseled chest and hair.
It was actually from
yes,
a guy.
right. Look at
Who
this.
said
Yeah, he
it,
was
yeah,
just
that's-
inspired by
By-
Brad's
by-
chiseled chest and hair. That was the lead.
And what would be wrong with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Thelma and Louise. Then that would.
I
that-
saw. Okay, I did see those. I have not seen Chariots of Fire. Yeah.
I haven't
did.
either, but I'm
Oh,
with you.
oh,
I
oh.
refuse
I saw
to.
that one.
My favorite film of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark. And how
Oh,
Chariots
well.
of Fire beats Raiders for Best Picture, I don't even want to see it to know,
I don't-
to just be further
no.
angry.
Well,
No.
how did it even get nominated? I mean, they seem, no offense,
Okay,
Oscars,
I will
but they're
say-
snobby, right?
I will say. I will say yes. Excuse me. That's what won over Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay.
I remember that. Yeah, Raiders of the Lost
They
Ark.
like
Oh my God.
the last inspirational movie they like the last one that's a Cruising in the Light and Shadow Gang type movie
Yes.
was Gandhi, 1982.
There
They
we
gave
go.
that Best Picture.
Yes, that was beautiful.
That was a good
That
film.
was very beautiful.
Well, this year the movies are pretty good. I mean, they're good. I think. Oh, that's sorry, going off track. The movie I haven't seen that everyone kept hyping to me was Best Showman.
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman.
That movie's awesome.
I keep trying to go see it now, and it's out of theaters. I
No,
can't find it.
no.
I think it'll probably come back around because some of the things I wanted to see are coming back.
because they just released a sing-along version of that. No, it's still out there. It's still in the top 5 in the country.
Well, it's nominated for best song, right?
Yes,
Wait,
it
which
was a
is the
slow.
song that got-
It was a slow build to 100 million, but the fans came out. Yeah, that movie cost like 94 million to make, and it
Oh my
shows.
God.
It looks gorgeous.
Wow.
But it's made like 300 million worldwide, so it's a hit.
Okay.
Which
It's
is
a
great
So
because
it
it
is.
deserves to
All
be a
right.
hit.
Yes.
It is. Everyone complains about it being revisionist history, but these are a bunch of people who don't talk about P.T. Barnum any other time in their lives
No.
until this movie comes up. And they go, I got to be angry about how unfaithful it is to the real story of P.T. Barnum.
Oh, P.T. Barnum.
It is
right.
It is a testament and a love letter to optimism and showmanship. And Jackman's great, and the songs are
Yeah.
fantastic.
This is me.
He
I
had
saw
every
the
right to do that film.
Yeah.
The song in Coco is amazing. Remember Me, and This Is Me going up against each other for the Oscar is the fight of the night.
And then we've got the Call Me by
Actually,
Your Name.
there's music. There's a song from Call Me by Your Name that's up for it, and that's what I'm rooting for. The little independent film. Yay!
I'm all about the independent films. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
I
it's
got.
amazing.
I really enjoyed Call Me by Your Name. I really did enjoy all the movies were great. At least the SAG Award movies, because those are the screeners I got. They were all. I mean, it all felt like there was so much heart. Everybody working towards it. The Florida Project. That was a little intense, but again, the little engine that could to make that.
Who's in the Florida Project?
Willem Dafoe and a
Willem
bunch of little
Dafoe,
kids.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah, and then just what it's like. It's a project. Yeah, what it's like to live in Orlando with people who are low income. It was intense. It was.
And what I loved about Call Me by Your Name, well, the Crema Italy. If you love films that have a backdrop that supports a really beautiful love story,
And James Ivory
and
certainly
James
does.
Ivory definitely, absolutely, who might well win for best script for a.
Today
Possible.
I forgot.
He is up. He is
No,
up
for
it.
SAG. Did he win? For
He
SAG?
did. Yes,
Okay.
he did. Yeah, because
I love
again,
that you know.
rooting for
Yeah.
rooting for this one film, but it's that one of the things that gets said that I agree with. It's a love story in our complex, terrifying time. There's a beauty and a simplicity, and it's interesting. It's not political because it's about two men who fall in love that weren't expecting that to happen. They are not gay men particularly, but they are men who fall in love with one another. And it's right before the era of AIDS. So the politics are around the film. And it's really, the people will say there's no struggle in Call Me by Your Name, but the struggle is growing up, first love, the tragedy of the loss of a
first
love, of your first love, and then again the unfolding of it's that Italy is kind of its own character, and there's good food and good wine, and it's a film that's someplace to go, and I just love that. So
I love it when
that's-
movies.
yeah.
Well, like Chocolat. I love
It-
Chocolat.
much like Chocolat, and
Have you seen
few
Chocolat?
others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lassie Hallstrom. And my
Lassie
wife loves dogs so much, she's like, I'll go see that. The guy who made it's named Lassie. I'm like, okay, whatever. As long as you come to the movies with me.
Yeah, right, okay.
Now, do you two go to the movies a lot together, or you
Yep.
go? Okay. Well, I mean, you're both on the same show, so it's
Yeah.
the movie.
I mean, we have, varying opinions of things. Like a lot of times if it's a Marvel or Star Wars or something, she'll say, you go see it. If you love
Really?
it so much you have to go again, I'll go with you. And then I come back from something like
Nice,
Star Wars and I
yeah.
go, I don't think you have to see it.
See, I liked it. I
They're
do
not
have
doing
to
it
see
for
it
me.
again.
Those aren't doing it for me anymore.
No.
They've veered too far away from the 70s Star Wars that I loved so
Yeah.
much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I love the Star Wars films, and the last one, I was like, "What movie is this again?"
Well, see, and one of my favorite franchises was Terminator 2. Or Terminator. Well, Terminator 2 is my favorite, but the Terminator story, because I love time
Storyline?
travel. I love time
Yeah, it's a little diluted now, but man, that Terminator 2 is a movie and a half. They just put that in
was
theaters
incredible.
again recent. Well, it was a while back now, but for an anniversary of some kind. And man, that is such
Is
a
it?
movie.
Is that 30 years?
No,
Oh, okay.
but it's like it was like
Alright.
25,
That's
like
something
2
like
years
20
ago.
1990.
One.
Yeah. Okay.
And the time
Yeah.
flies.
Yeah, James Cameron's going to make more Avatar sequels. I'm like, please do. The guy makes amazing sequels. Aliens, Terminator 2.
Aliens,
Go ahead,
that
please
was the
make
other
another.
one.
Right.
Make more sequels. I'm fine with
Was
it. He's
that-
the one guy I'm cool with him doing it.
That was 86. Aliens was 86, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's 86, 87, 88. Those are some pretty intense years, man.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, right?
84.
84. Oh, wow.
Karate
that
Kid.
84?
Karate
Never-ending
Kid,
Story.
that
Oh,
was-
84 was
Boy,
hot too.
that's-
Temple of
that I don't
Doom,
know how many
Gremlins.
times.
Gremlins.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Shaped a
my
lot of
daughter.
childhoods, 1984.
Yeah. I showed that to my daughter a little too early.
Was she terrified?
She was
or
a little.
it's
She's
like,
like, why would you show me that? Well, it's a
"Oh, but
classic.
It's a classic. You need to know
Yeah.
the classic.
And the Dark Crystal. She saw that. as
Oh
well
my
when she was little.
goodness. The films that my parents took me to before there were warnings about, I mean, something might be rated M, but it was back then it was rated M, not R, mature audiences. And the sense that my parents had no idea. I was like, no, this is supposed to be a great film. So I saw Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf,
Ooh, intense.
Cleopatra, with the complicated love stories and so forth. And oh, Dad, poor Dad, you're hanging in the closet and I'm feeling so bad. And I'm leaving that out there. You have to go find it.
Wow.
And it was a very warped kind of 60s film, but very fun. But the things that it said about mothers and sons and family relationships, it was a strange film, and I laid awake, thinking about the storylines and not understanding at 8 years old what I had just observed.
Have you watched it since? As an
I
adult?
have.
And
It was boring.
yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say that.
Well,
That's
I need to revisit some movies from when I was a kid because I get into movies so early, and so soon I'm in the theater watching, Raising Arizona or something that we mentioned earlier, and I'm just like loving it. I'm like, I gotta watch some of these classic. What are some of the classic movies? So then I watched like Network and Chinatown. They just went way over my head, and I need to go back again and watch them again to see how brilliant they are. And hopefully they're not boring,
Yeah, they might
which they
well
won't be.
have. Yeah.
one that was in the 70s that I loved it. It was called Author.
Yeah,
Al
Pacino.
Pacino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know
good
why.
movie,
I
yeah.
love that, and I'll still, come on and I'll watch it. And of course, when I was a little kid, it like made no sense whatsoever.
Still good?
I thought it was still good. I saw it a few years back. Yeah, it's so silly. The scene that just stays with me is Diane Cannon, who I love her, just eating like a aspirin and drinking champagne with every champagne glass.
Was it like
So of course you
a
grow up
pill
like,
champagne,
yeah.
a pill
I was
champagne?
like, is that what you do when you're an adult? Is that what you do? Bad examples for kids, but it was a good movie.
Yeah, that's one of those HBO movies.
Right.
On all the time. When you like, it's Clash of the Titans again. Like there were movies that just
Yeah.
HBO
Oh.
played the crap out of when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you two make of the disparity between what gets nominated and the films people watch? Because that in the last few years, it's like we see what's nominated and people are all over the place are saying, but I don't go to those films. Why would those be up for awards?
I got two big theories on
yes.
that.
Okay, please.
I wrote articles about them at themovieguys.net. Oh, there are tons of reviews and articles at themovieguys.net, by the way, too.
Which
One
Excellent.
was called Critics Don't Matter, and it looked at an April box office report and on Rotten Tomatoes. It listed like the top 10 movies in the country, and Rotten Tomatoes had them all critically reviewed except for one as awful. But the top 10 movies in the country,
But they're
everyone's
the top
going to
10.
see them. So there's
Yes.
clearly a huge disconnect between
Yeah.
people who see and know quality filmmaking and people who just want to go to a movie and see something cool. Now, granted, maybe the next week they went in the crapper because the box office might have just tanked because it was bad. But people are going to go out and see, So the tough part now.
So people went, oh, it really is bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they would-
Right, but they went.
All right.
Yeah, I think at the time it was like Jungle Book was great. Everything else was awful, but everything made money. The other theory that I have a problem with Hollywood is something called backloading. That I've called it backloading.
Yeah.
It's where they put all the award caliber movies off until the end of the year. Now they do that because of short-term memory. So then all these movies come out right before December 31st, so they're right hot for the awards season. But then you've got like 6 weeks to watch 30 movies, and no one has the time. I'm a maniac. I'll do it. But guy in Nebraska, he's going to watch Jumanji because he's like, these are too many movies, and word hasn't gotten out about him. And the SAG Award nominations came out, and the big article was, The Post snubbed. I'm like, well, the Post hasn't come out yet. No one's seen the Post. No one knows what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it looked good.
It
why don't we
is.
put the SAG Award nominations out after the year ends?
Yeah.
It's a great film, by the way. The
It was.
Post.
It really
I loved it.
Fine film, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
still
had
have to
no
see
problem being political, unlike
Oh
Call
my
Me By Your Name.
gosh. Oh my
They were all
gosh,
about it. They
yeah.
wore it on their sleeve. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah. So I think we should have Paul Preston pick a tarot
A
card.
tarot card.
I'll do it.
Let the movie guy choose a tarot card. You can pick one from the top or cut the cards and draw.
At Vegas, they say cut thin to win.
Ooh.
So I'm going to go with this one.
Well, okay. We have, that's interesting. We have the King of Wands. Have we talked about that one? I'm not quite sure.
They picked one we picked before.
But it is a king, I must say. He's the good luck. So it might be saying something about you. He's the fair-haired boy. He's the good luck king. He's a generous and kind. He's a generous and kind, benevolent king. He has a lot of wisdom. He's far-reaching. He's someone who's a great communicator. He comes from a place of passion. The wands mean fire. So he's also someone who's good at bringing people together, getting projects done. He's very focused. He has a tiny little gecko right here who's kind of his good luck animal.
He saves a ton on his car insurance.
Yes, right, there we go. Yes, he does. He must somehow. I guess these came out before that, but no, I know they did. And he also has lions around him, and again, those are protection and nobility. Could I have you draw one more card?
Yeah.
Not only
do a different one?
Yes, nope, keep that one and add to it because I want to see what it wants to tell you about your.
Well, keep it thin. I hope it's another one we've already picked.
Okay. All right.
Ooh.
Seven of Swords.
So there is something you're planning, and you. I always tell people you can tell me about it. You don't have to, but it's suggesting that you're trying to find your way. You have the Seven of Swords along with the King of Wands. He looks like what he's considered, or he looks like a sneak thief, and that can be someone who's trying to figure out how to get somewhere without other people knowing he's going there. But it can also be about swords mean thoughts, inspiration, plans of action that are in the works. So it may be more about I have a project or I have something I want to make happen, but first I have to think it through and map it out. So
When's your birthday?
3/21.
March 21. Okay.
That's
Spring.
First day.
First day. Yeah.
Wait, so that makes
my grandmother's birthday.
First day of Aries.
Ah.
So you're going to need your
What?
So
Is there something
Aries,
there?
so-
Just in
so-
I'm
there?
surrounded by Aries.
Well,
So
yeah.
King of Fire, you're going to need that fiery wand to set your intentions and create what you want to create. But make sure you've mapped it out.
I am the
Don't
thing.
go foolishly into that.
Oh, I do not. I am the gets things going guy.
Oh, well, good.
Dragging people, kicking and screaming into projects.
In the project. All
That's
right.
really good. Yeah.
This feels kind of like you get people to work with you and they don't know that you've gotten them to do that, which is wonderful,
so that's what
actually. You're
this
good. You're persuasive.
I just really wanted to be in a podcast, so I said, guys,
So
come shoot in my
here,
studio.
come and shoot
And sure enough, 10 weeks in,
Yeah.
And this is the Admirals
I
Club.
made
the long game. Yeah.
But I am surrounded
There
by
we have it.
Aries. I don't know what that is. I have so many Aries.
My mother was.
See? So we normally we do a meditation or mantra, but I thought it would be fun to do some quotes. From
Inspirational movie quotes,
Yeah.
or not inspirational? What do you
So,
want to do?
yeah. Do you have any off the cuff?
I don't. I wish I had thought of that. No, I don't.
So I have some here. We want to.
I mean, they might come to me the more we go. Oh, am I going to read some?
Yeah.
you wanna read
I
one?
figured we could all.
Oh, Forrester from Finding Forrester.
Yeah.
Someone I once knew wrote that we walk away from our dreams, afraid that we may fail, or worse yet, afraid we may succeed.
See?
That was my
That
dad,
was
Sean
good.
Connery.
Yeah, you couldn't
No,
help
they-
it. Well,
they-
well, it was
well,
Sean
that's the old-
Connery.
Yeah, that's the old quote, right?
Yeah.
That some people aren't afraid that they'll be weak or something, but they'll in fact be more powerful than they could possibly imagine.
Exactly.
And that brings
That's
them
a good one.
more fear than
Powerful. Speaking of Call Me by Your Name, I have the novel in front of me, and there's a beautiful, I'm not giving the story away actually, but there's a beautiful speech, the father to his son after he's gone off into this beautiful love affair, and he's come back and he's wounded because he knows that was the end of the summer and that was the end of the relationship. All right. But you know what? You will if
By now,
it's a summer
yeah.
love story, it's a summer love story.
Just letting people know,
It's-
yeah.
It's very much like that. But the father says, "Fear not. It will come." He means his emotions. At least I hope it does. And when you least expect it, nature has cunning ways of finding our weakest spot. Just remember, I'm here. Right now, you may not want to feel anything. Perhaps you never wished to feel anything. And perhaps it's not with me that you'll want to speak about these things, but feel something you did. He says, look, you had a beautiful friendship, maybe more than a friendship, and I envy you. In my place, most parents would hope the whole thing goes away or pray that their sons land on their feet soon enough. But I am not such a parent. In your place, if there is pain, nurse it. And if there is flame, don't snuff it out. Don't be brutal with it. Withdrawal can be a terrible thing when it keeps us awake at night and watching others forget us sooner than we'd want to be forgotten is not better. We rip so much of ourselves to be cured of things faster than we should that we get bankrupt by the age of 30 and have less to offer each time we start with someone new. But to feel nothing so as not to feel anything, what a waste. So it's really just, it's that message that is starting to emerge among so many great messages in our time, but saying men have feelings too, and to try and stamp them down or push them away, he's saying, I'm not such a parent. I want you to have your feelings, and then you won't be so burned the next time you try to love again. So, one of my favorites
That's beautiful.
for this year.
That goes along with, nothing is nobody's fault, but sometimes things happen, right? Johnny comes in here, he orders some bread. I said, okay, some bread. So I put my hand in the slicer because I wasn't paying attention, and the slicer chewed off my hand.
Just like that.
And I make bread,
And I make bread, and I sweat, and I shovel dough out of this stinking hole in the wall. I should just be so happy, huh, sweetie?
Sweetie, oh my God.
That's Moonstruck. In case
Brilliant.
I think
Yes, there
those
we go.
two quotes go in tandem. The one you
They
just
do
did and the
some-
one
very
I just
clearly.
did.
Yes, they do.
And I'll jump back to the ones you brought and just
All right.
throw out.
Yes.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt, but you can either run from it or learn from it. That's Rafiki. Full of wisdom, the great Rafiki.
Yes, he is.
What's your favorite in this group?
I like that one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I like the first one, the Finding Forrester one.
Oh,
Cool. Yay.
Yeah. I mean, you just to trust in your own abilities because it's hard to do.
It is. It is.
it is.
You lose.
You have a
sight.
whole
Have your own voice.
There's a whole team of people telling you how you're
How
not
to
worthy.
do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
So
better
to fight
than
it is
you.
tough.
So how do we get a hold of you, movie guy?
Paul at themovieguys.net. Send me something. That's cool. Or just go to themovieguys.net and check things out. Facebook.com/themovieguys, at themovieguys on Twitter, at themovieguys on Instagram. I jumped on all that stuff. So
And
Seriously, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You'll get daily jokes and links. I mean, stuff we're not writing in articles or doing on podcasts or anything. Just we look at the movies, and me and my friend Steve in Chicago, and we write jokes about them. So
Which makes it even fun.
Yeah.
Funner, more fun.
fun and
More
funner.
funner.
And Inanna, you have?
And you can find me at inannamoon.com, INANNA moon.com. And I would say that you can look at my events, but also I have a tarot class finally coming up. So please look for that.
I'm looking
in
forward
the
to
coming
that.
weeks. Yes.
You can find me at laughingHouseProductions.com. We have a couple movies out on Amazon Prime. We have First Comes Like and The Secret Office. You can also go to artistriseup.la.com. I'm one of the core producers there. And, and then coming soon this year is going to be Bad CGI Sharks with Majama. They made it. I produced it. And it's going to be funny. It's going to be fun. I can't
That's
wait.
the best. Spoofing something that is clearly not already taking
Yes.
itself seriously.
Oh, yeah.
But has it coming anyway.
How could you tell it's a comedy?
What?
How could you tell? So thank you for joining us, Paul Preston.
My pleasure.
And thank you for helping us out all the time.
I love movies.
Yes, every time we record. Thank you.
So thank you for joining us here in Cruising in the Light and Shadow.
My name is Inanna Moon.
I'm Sheila Keacha Marie, reminding you that love is everywhere. Our lives touch everyone and everything. So please go forth in love.